You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. welcoming you, taking a lap of the extra mile for today, October 28, 2021. And a changing of the guard is upon us in Formula One and NASCAR. Of course, to help me talk about it is my co-host for this evening, Christopher Lehman. Chris?
How are you doing tonight, Daryl?
Wish I was doing a little bit better. Not gonna lie, after how that Formula One race went to, which we're gonna talk about presently, but I'm okay. I'm doing pretty okay. I'm mighty surprised with how big the crowds were there out in COTA. Remember, guys, if you want to chat with us, make sure you're in the chat room. Put your comments out there. We will read them on air. So we're gonna start, of course, with the F1 U.S. Grand Prix, and we had a little bit of a controversy that really doesn't matter, so we're just gonna knock that out really quick, or I'll just knock it out really quick. The Meg Thee Stallion thing is such a non-issue. I don't know why it became an issue. Yeah, her entourage were a little snippy with Martin Brundle, but I mean, I don't care, and I don't know why anyone else does. She did plenty of photos on the weekend. If she didn't want to talk to TV, that's her prerogative while she's on the grid. So, whatever. We'll move on now to more important matters, and that is, Chris, they had a big crowd this weekend in Austin.
Absolutely. And if anybody listening did not see photos of the event, the F1 Twitter, and I'm sure there are other pages like Facebook and all that, I'm sure they have posted the photos as well, but there was some crazy images, especially, on that front stretch near the grid. It just looked like, I don't even know how to describe it. Just that photo with going up to turn one. I mean, it just looks like this never-ending crowd of people. It was really an incredible image that they posted. But I saw that they said that there was 400-some thousand people there. And Daryl, you and I, we actually ended up sharing the same post since Liberty took over. It's not just Drive to Survive. It's really a flawlessly executed plan by Liberty Media to really re-engage the interest, and it's something that we can talk about later this episode or a different episode. But I think NASCAR needs to be taking some notes on what Formula One has done, because the engagement, the fan engagement at the USGP was just unprecedented.
There was a thread that was put out on Twitter, and it's far too long for me to get into on the particulars of it, but I'm just going to summarize it. The reason Formula One is where it is right now, they embraced social media literally better than any other sport, and it's paid dividends. And I think I shared and I said it, if your sport doesn't have a social media presence in 2021, your sport does not have a presence. Now, NASCAR is coming into it a little bit, but they can do things a lot better. Formula One has been the gold standard. All of their accounts, I follow them on Instagram, YouTube, here on Twitter. I don't really follow them on Facebook, so I'm not on Facebook that much anymore, to be honest, but everything is on point.
They have a really budding TikTok too. Like, they are posting they have a lot of content on there, and it's some pretty, it's well done stuff. And that TikTok is the new big platform to be on, and Formula One is nailing it. And I don't follow other teams, but Red Bull is also nailing it.
Yeah. If you don't hit that social media, you're not going to do well at all. And all of the teams are on social media for Formula One. They're talking to each other, sniping at each other during races, which I think is hilarious. Liberty Media, say what you will about the Americans coming in and taking over the sport, and a lot of Europeans have. They built that social media thing, and it's working. Like, it really is working incredibly well. And I'm happy for F1. And I'm happy that it's building the sport in America, because after the debacle that was the USGP 2005, F1 in this country was dead. And it's taken until now to resuscitate it. They've done it. Not only did we have one race bring 400,000 people, There's another race coming in Miami, and Vegas might be getting a race in the near future as well. This country, all they're missing is a competent F1 team and a couple of drivers with the red, white, and blue on the grid, and they're fully enamored in Formula One. That's all we're missing, to be honest.
And I think it's coming. I think you are going to see, especially with this new interest in NASCAR, I wouldn't be surprised to see, some either Canadian or U.S. drivers being pulled into the developmental programs over there in F3 and F2, and eventually working their way up, but at least getting over there and getting in the development, working their way up, because there is a huge untapped market. And if you're the first team to put, an American driver in a long time in a car, I think you have a big popularity boost coming from this country where the market is increasing. I think they said that TV viewership between like 2019 and 2021 was up like 40%. Gluck, I think, tweeted out the ratings of NASCAR versus Formula One. NASCAR went down a lot. Formula One went up. Overall, NASCAR had a higher viewership, but you got to look at the trends. And I would not be surprised to see within the next probably 5 years an American or Canadian driver really leading the charge for a team to be, coming up into a seat.
Well, we almost had Jeff Gordon back in the day try to do it, and I'm going to welcome in Michael Ward, who is just joining us now. Give him a couple of seconds to tune into the audio because we are doing this on Zoom for those of you that can't see us. But we talked about the social media aspect, and we talked about the ratings aspect. There's been a lot of conversation about NASCAR and Formula One possibly doing a collaboration. Now, I think those two sports, especially those are two different audiences. You want to see chaos? Put the F1 audience and the NASCAR audience in the same town for the same 3 days. There might be an actual war at the track. I'm not making that up. But I'll bring Michael in if he can hear us. There's been a lot of conversation about Formula One and NASCAR should do a collaboration at COTA or the new track coming to Miami. Is that something you're interested in?
First of all, I want to say I'm sorry for being late. And honestly, all I could really see is maybe a driver swap.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tony Stewart and Lewis Hamilton, Jeff Gordon on Public Montoya. That's all I can honestly see. Because what else can you do?
Yeah, I there's too many moving parts, I think, with having both series here at the same time.
I mean, do you want F1 drivers to play NASCAR 21 Ignition and F1 drivers play F1 drivers play NASCAR 21 Ignition and NASCAR drivers play F1 2021 or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we did get that cool image. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that I think I would be on board with them bringing IndyCar, NASCAR, and Formula One and doing it almost like speed weeks for NASCAR, how it used to be the full week at Daytona, and now it's realistically like 3 days of actual events. But bring in Formula One, bring in NASCAR, and do Indy, and do practices and qualifying, and then Friday night IndyCar races, Saturday night Formula One or NASCAR races, and then Sunday afternoon the other one, or not necessarily night, but or do it like a double header on Sunday, NASCAR and Formula One. Like, you could charge an arm and a leg for that venue space, right? Because you're getting all three. They all run there, so you're paying facility costs one time. and you could really make a event out of it. It would be the biggest week in racing, like ever, if they pulled that off. And I really love the idea of it. I would love to see even two of them get together, even if it was like IndyCar and Formula One, which is probably a little bit more believable. But and then just think of all the content that comes out of that week. I mean, I can picture like,
all
Bubba
the
and
cross
Lewis,
promotion if they do it right.
Bubba and Lewis circling the track together.
Oh my God, yes.
I can picture like a Ryan Blaney and Max Verstappen out there, like both at the line, and like Max lets Blaney get like halfway through the course, and then he starts. And I mean, it's social media gold.
I like that idea, Chris. I like that idea.
I mean,
Kinda
you just
like
have so
F1
much
NASCAR
crossover.
Relay racing. That sounds really fun.
And I mean, just think about the message of seeing, Bubba and Lewis out there just doing a couple laps together. I mean, that would be so cool. It'd be really inspirational to a lot of kids. A lot of people just overall, really. I don't even think you'd have to limit it to just kids. But I just think that the collaboration of the three biggest racing series in the world.
You know what I would like to see?
What's that?
Sebastian Vettel kind of interacting with Sebastian Vettel interacting with Jeff.
You just see him see him looking in the mirror talking to himself.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, it's been a long week.
That's okay.
It's Sebastian Vettel, and he kind of interacts and does like the post-race show with Jeff Gordon. Just think about that. Two 4-time champions. I just think that would be pretty great.
It'd be really cool. I mean, all of this would work. The only problems that I see, which they're going to have to be worked out by the boardrooms and not by people like us, who's going to race on Sunday? Because that's going to be a huge debate. Because one of them is going to want, all three of them are going to want that marquee spot, and nobody's going to want to share.
You give it to Formula One.
That's what I would say, but you know how NASCAR people are. How do you split the money between the three series at the end of the day? Because that's going to be the big sticking point. There's going to be a lot of money from this. Like a lot.
I feel like F1's going to make the most amount of money, and they're just going to take most of it.
Well, everybody's going to have their TV money, so that's fine. The TV money with the contracts that they already have. It's just the venue money.
The broadcasting. I mean, everybody goes through somebody different at this point of year.
Would you have like the same like broadcast, or would it be like would all three of the races be on like the same broadcast, or would it be like...
FOM would want to do the whole broadcast because that's just how they are. Which
I would
NASCAR shot with the FOM style of what they do at camp with the cameras would be absolutely incredible. Like the Formula One is shot like a cinematic experience.
Yeah,
every 2 weeks.
You're talking about like how the F1 cameras would do on NASCAR.
Yes, the camera angles and the tricks they use to show the sense of speed and everything.
That would make the races look so cinematic.
I mean, it's like a Hollywood movie every 2 weeks. Like, you put that with NASCAR. Oh my gosh, you've got something incredible at that point.
I think it would be fun if they kind of all, and I think if they made like a super event like this, I think that they would all be willing to let the folks have fun with it. Like I would love to see like the F1 broadcast team in the booth calling the NASCAR race, like with our guy, like with our guys, and IndyCar, seeing them calling IndyCar and stuff, and maybe you even talk to some of the drivers. Like I bet you Lewis, like kind of like how the NASCAR drivers will call Xfinity races. I bet you Lewis would sit up there and call the Xfinity or the IndyCar race with Jeff Gordon or whoever you want. Imagine Clint Boyer with the Brits. That'd be hilarious.
I don't know if they could take a full 90 minutes of Clint Boyer.
I don't know. Like,
I want to see it though. I really do.
I just feel like in their minds, they're just gonna be like, man, can this guy stop talking? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's how everybody is.
But we got to get into the race. But basically, Formula One's growing in this country, and if they can continue on this trajectory, it's going to be in a good place. Now we just need those 2022 cars to put on some great racing, because we should have had some wheel-to-wheel with Verstappen and Hamilton there at the end of the U.S. Grand Prix, which of course was won by Max Verstappen, who started on the pole, takes a commanding lead in this championship. And 1 week ago, I said it, if Mercedes does not win here in a track that has been their house, it's going to be really difficult for me to see them winning a championship here in the drivers or constructors. They had the best tire strategy of the day. Lewis was charging at the end. Max still wins the race. Chris, as much as it pains me to say it, I think Verstappen is on his way to breaking the Hamilton streak.
I think, barring some crazy turn of events, which I don't think we can rule out at this point.
No.
I think mechanically, as long as nothing happens and he finishes every race where he should, which is top 3, realistically, he should be podium. Lewis and Max should be podium every race. Like, that's just where their cars are. And then that third place, McLaren and Ferrari, not talking constructors here, but that's going to be a fun one to watch. I mean, they're separated
definitely
by 4 points or 5 points.
Ferrari has some pace now a little bit.
Yeah.
Ferrari and McLaren have pace, but McLaren's kind of fallen off, don't you think?
I'd say McLaren. I think McLaren might have stopped developing their car, or McLaren really works on certain tracks.
I think they've stopped developing because they've really fallen off a cliff since their win. They had a little bit of speed in Russia, but
around this time is when teams start developing their car.
Yeah. I think at this point, if you're still developing this car, you are toast for 2022. I think now is the time where you are
Mercedes.
Yeah. Well, I think even they've stopped. I just think
I feel like they've had to have.
I
think
you've got 5 races, right?
5 races left. You just can't.
Well, then again, if you look at these cars, they're not much different from last year's cars. So I don't really think much development went into these cars, honestly.
Well, they weren't allowed to develop either because of the pandemic. And then there were extra regulations on top of what happened with the limit just because of the pandemic, with the spending cap and everything. So, these cars are they're developed. You've got what you've got. And the problem with that Mercedes is and they've had this problem for years, it doesn't follow well in traffic. Well, when they were beating everybody by 10 seconds, it didn't matter. But now that they're in a fight, it actually matters. And you saw it there in those last laps. When Hamilton got into that 1.6 second barrier where you start to get the wind turbulence, he slowed down from 0.4 a lap to a tenth.
Yeah, it's just like NASCAR.
It's incredible.
It's just like Kansas, honestly.
Yeah.
And if let's just say there wasn't the factor of wind turbulence, I think he does get DRS and overtakes, but it's you had so many factors that played into Verstappen's win. You had the strategy call that they made.
That's got to be concerning for Mercedes. They need to be looking at who is making these calls, because I don't think they've had a race this year where they out-strategized Red Bull. And Red Bull can chalk a few wins up to strategy.
Because
Spain is the only one I can think of where they pulled it off. Other than that, they've been getting their behinds with. Look, I love Bono, Bono's screwing up right now.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Real quick.
Uh-huh.
When Verstappen pitted to go for the, I think it was the overcut, or it's either the undercut or the overcut.
They did the undercut the whole day. Yeah.
Do you think Hamilton wins if they would have matched Verstappen? Do you think he wins? Because I think he stayed out too long.
He did both
Probably.
times, and that's the issue. Is Max made up too much ground both times, and the last time, if you guys noticed, he saved tires the whole time.
Right.
Because once Lewis broke that 5-second barrier, that's when Max started matching pace for a while.
Yep.
So the first one was purely to get position, and I think that if they pulled Lewis in, the lap after, even though you've already lost the undercut, you're not coming out of the pits 7 seconds behind. You're coming out 2 to 3.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if they would have covered him off, you win, basically. You win.
And I think that's
the fast in the straight. So
that's the main problem. Both of you just said it right there. The main problem with Mercedes, they have lost that ability to strategize, and it comes down to arrogance at this point. They haven't had to fight anyone until this year. I mean, yeah, they fought Ferrari, but Ferrari would, come out in the second half, take the gun, put it right to their foot, and pull the trigger every time they came out in the summer break when they were racing them for the championship, except for that year they cheated, and we still don't know how they cheated. But
honestly, that year they cheated, I don't really count that because they were still getting stomped even while cheating.
I mean, they were still getting stomped until they came back and dominated Spa and Monza, and then immediately got caught after because it was way too obvious what they were doing. But Mercedes has never had a fight like this, and it's showing, or in the turbo hybrid era, it's showing, and it's showing their biggest deficiency isn't in the car, it's on that pit wall. I honestly think they've got to shake up the strategy callers next year.
I hope that NDA that everybody had to sign for the Ferrari thing ends either with this current generation car or in the next 5 to 10 years. Because I really just want to know. Everybody does, obviously.
I want to know too.
But eventually somebody's going to leak it officially. Somebody who knows will say something, but I get back on point, Daryl. I agree. I think that Mercedes, as tough as it is, because changing personnel is not fun. Sometimes you have to make the strategy call, and I think they need to shake it up. I think they need to bring in someone new to go over strategy, or at the very least, spend a lot of time this offseason studying their mistakes, and not necessarily studying what Red Bull did, but it's almost like the NFL. You watch the other teams' playbooks, start watching what worked for them. If they're coming in now, what are they probably trying to do? And they know all this already, and why they wouldn't adjust their game plan to what Red Bull was doing is just, like you were saying, it's arrogance. And it cost, as far as I'm concerned, their arrogance have cost them Lewis's 8th championship, and this year's, obviously.
I'm gonna agree with you, but next year we don't really know what these cars are gonna do with tires. Are they gonna?
And that's a really good point, because we're going to a bigger tire next year.
Are we gonna be able to run the entire race on hards? Are we gonna be able to run? Are we even gonna be able to run the entire race in super softs? We don't really know. So tire strategy, and then I heard a podcast talk about should F1 enforce 2 pit stops, and I'm like, what?
Sounds like a stage break to me.
So
let's figure out how these cars are going to run, and then decide whether or not we need to enforce. Actually, let's not do that, because they tried to do this in Champ Car back in the day. It was terrible. But
right. So I'm just
I could see enforcing 1. You have to stop once, and that would almost be fair to me.
Right.
especially if they find you can run the whole race on hards. But I mean, that just happened too a couple weeks ago. Who was it? Ocon. He ran a no
Yep.
stop, and Lewis almost did too until thankfully the team pulled him in, because who knows what had happened if he stayed out.
But like these tires are bigger, they got more tread. Like I'm calling it like 2022. You can run a whole race on maybe sauce or hards. Like you come in, you do a couple of laps on super sauce, and then you just run the whole race on whatever compound you want.
Yep. I don't know how much longer you want to make these races, because I think they're the perfect length right now. I think all of them come in at about 90 minutes, but make the one-stop races longer maybe, or bring a softer tire to the one-stop races.
F1
and I think you fix that situation.
F1 endurance racing, 6 hours of coda.
Oh, God, no. I don't know if they could do it. I mean, with the G-forces these cars put on you, I wouldn't... You know what? You probably just bring a softer tire. I wouldn't want to put these guys through 2-hour races. Yeah.
You wouldn't? Yeah.
I don't think you can put these... They won't make it. I mean, these cars just beat the hell out of you for the time they're on the track. They're doing 5 Gs a turn. Not a lap, a turn. And these are big laps.
Right.
So this car is just beating the snot out of you for 2 hours? Good night.
So I'm okay, maybe extended by maybe like, I don't know, 10 laps maybe.
I think 10 laps at the most. I mean, it's just such a physically demanding car, and it's got no power steering, so...
Or keep it as it is and just let the drivers duke it out.
Or you can just do that.
Yeah.
So, we're going to Mexico in a couple weeks, and I think the question on everybody's minds is, what can Mercedes do at this point?
Just don't mess up the strategy. Like, they had it won at Austin, in my opinion.
Hold on, Michael. Hold on. Did you just tell them don't mess up the strategy?
Yeah,
have you seen this year's Mercedes F1 strategy calls?
Yes, but it's just like they won at Austin if they just would have covered off Verstappen. I don't know why they decided, hey, I'm just gonna let you stay out for about another 3 to 5 laps.
Just say, I think it was 4 or 5 laps both times.
While he does fastest lap, and just catches you up. Like if I was Mercedes, I would be covering everything that man does. I would have a counterplay every time he does something.
And I think another thing Mercedes needs to do is freaking find Bottas an engine that works, because he's on his 6th internal combustion, and because of that, and I don't know if you guys caught the in-car audio, but Red Bull was just having a field day with Lewis because they had Perez right behind him, and that really prevented Mercedes from running their own strategy, because they had to worry about Perez, who was running 3rd. And that's, you need your second car up there to help with your strategy. Putting Bottas back 5 to 10 places every week is not doing you any favors.
Imagine if
you're exactly right. We got to go to break.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, we got to go to break, but I'll wrap it up like this. They're not going to win this championship if they go through the last 5 races, and Bottas has to start 11th every week because he needs a new freaking engine. They've got to find a way to make that man's engines last the rest of the season.
I'm convinced they're secretly changing serial number plates and putting them on Lewis's car. Because, how many can you really go through?
Funny if you can get away with that.
I mean, that's the only thing at this point. It has to be something nefarious at this point, because he can't be going through this many engines, which I did say 5 races. It could be 4, but we are really up against it, so we might talk about this a little bit on the other side. The Saudi Arabia Formula 1 track,
we didn't even talk about that.
It ain't done. We're going to get into that on the other side of this. There's no show at 9 o'clock, so we might run a little late, which is fine. But we're going to take a break. Before we do that, of course, we're going to thank our sponsors. And that includes the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. Unfortunately, took another L this last week. They dropped one to the Disciples, 28-12, to enter the final game of the regular season at 4-5. We are rooting that they can come home and get that win to end the regular season on a high note. But folks, the world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. And the SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance. If you love your sport, you may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Follow their social media at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, or Facebook, Southern California Warriors. We're going to be right back. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit about what's going on with the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, if there's going to be one at this point, and getting you ready for Martinsville and the potential running of the table by a certain Hendrick Motorsports driver. We'll talk about this on the other side of the extra mile here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And folks, we are back here at iSports Radio with another edition of the Extra Mile. Before we go, of course, got to thank one of our sponsors. That's Background Check International. Businesses, are you looking to background check a new hire on? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him help make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crime such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. Check out Kit's social media at Background Check International and find out more about the business at bcint.com. We're back here on the Extra Mile of iSports Radio, your feed for all that is sports. Going to touch on a little bit of one more thing from Formula One to go quickly into NASCAR. We're supposed to be racing in Saudi Arabia in 36 days. There were some photos put out of the work going on at the track, and I'm going to be real with y'all. We might be having the first ever F1 motocross event, because that track is not ready by any stretch of the imagination.
Hey, we did Bristol on dirt. Why not doing a Formula One championship on dirt?
I just think that they try to do that, man. The floors are just going to get damaged.
Well, it's not just going to be the floor. It's going to be the everything.
Well, Michael, before we came on, we were talking about possible replacements for Saudi Arabia when inevitably we can't go. And I suggested coming back to Coda, and Daryl said that Monaco always has great weather, and that'd be a great race to end the season.
Don't tell him that lie. Do not even tell him that lie.
I already knew it was a lie because Daryl hates Monaco with a passion.
Hey, they got good year-round weather.
Sure,
that's why everybody lives there.
I can't think of a track I hate more than Monaco. I'm sorry. I
hate watching it.
I get the history, but between playing it on F1 and trying to suffer through one, as a fan, it is such a terrible race. And also, FOM doesn't do the camera work for that race, so it's always just a crap show when they do the production. I just don't like that place. I'm sorry. It's just...
So you said return to Coda. What did Daryl actually say?
I said Malaysia, but Malaysia's also having issues with COVID-19.
The COVID.
So, yeah.
What would my track be?
Bristol. Martinsville.
I don't think they'd survive Bristol. I think
Formula One at Martinsville.
I see so many broken carbon fiber in that race. Oh my god!
I don't even know how you would do the standing start.
I see I see he who must not be named being 5 laps down on the formation lap.
Oh yeah, he just decides to take out the leader. Yeah. Honestly, I would like a run back of Belgium.
The Red Bull Ring.
The Red Bull Ring.
Okay, y'all are naming tracks in places that are going to be cold by the time you get to December. Y'all know that, right?
That's what I was saying
we
pre-show.
Never got the Belgian Grand Prix. I want the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's going to be a Belgian Grand Prix with snow chains instead of whatever pontoons. All right.
Put on snow tires.
So we say all that to say they got a lot of work to do in Saudi Arabia. And another group of folks that has a lot of work to do, that's everybody else in the NASCAR Championship 8 or in the round of 8 trying to chase down Kyle Larson. Larson dominated at Kansas this weekend. And say what you will about the racetrack because it's one of the tracks that the new 550 package is just annihilated. in terms of raceability. But this guy has been on a revenge tour. I hate calling it that because of the manner in which he got suspended, but he is on a kick their butt tour in 2021. And it's been working out. I honestly think he's going to run the table between the next two races. But Kyle Larson is really, really good right now. And my question to you guys is Larson the odds-on favorite to win the championship when we get to Phoenix in a couple of weeks?
I would be surprised if he wasn't the odds-on favorite.
I mean, he's absolutely performance-wise the favorite, but in that last race, I mean, it is anybody's game, and I think wasn't it? What's that?
Part of me doesn't even want to watch Phoenix because I just know he's going to win.
We raced Phoenix already once this year, right? They got 2 races.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Phoenix where Hendrick, all 4 cars had crazy issues?
Yeah, they had weird issues the last time we went there. It was
so that's.
I don't think they make that mistake again.
I don't know. Like I vaguely recall like all 4 Hendrick cars having crazy mechanical issues, and I think it was Phoenix, but I'm not sure. But I don't know. You get to Phoenix, it's anybody's game. It's rather than winning you're the champ. Mm-hmm. And I can really see someone like Blaney or I don't think Gibbs gets it this year, to be honest. I think it's Hendrick or Penske.
Yeah,
I just do.
Man, Gibbs doesn't get it the second year in a row. Actually, the third year in a row.
I don't think it was Phoenix where they had those issues, but because I'm looking at the results, Chase Elliott was the highest finisher for Hendrick in 5th. Larson actually finished 7th in a race that was won by Martin Truex Jr., which could spell good omens. Joey Logano 2nd, Denny Hamlin 3rd, Brad Keselowski was 4th in that race. So for those guys, they'd be feeling really good if they got back there.
So a good portion of your championship 8 finished top 10 in that race.
Yeah.
So I guess what we're saying is it really is anybody's game.
It could be anybody's game there. I give the slight advantage to Larson just because of how good he's been, but you're right. Yeah. Looking at how these results went, you got about 6 of the 8 in there, so anyone who gets there's got a chance.
What was the spread between Truex and Larson in 7th? What was the time?
They don't have the.
They don't.
No, the way they have it now. Oh wait, no, that's lap times. Never mind. The way they have it is really weird now on NASCAR.com.
I was going to say, if you're talking like 10 seconds, then that's really, what is 10 seconds?
Not a lot.
But, spoiler alert, and it's not really spoiler because I already put my answer in for nearest to win this week, but I have Logano winning Martinsville. I don't know what that means for Blaney or anyone not named Kyle Larson, and probably Chase Elliott, because I think he's 2nd in points, and I think he's going to point in at this point. But I've got Logano winning Martinsville. He's just aggressive in that track. Winning this next race has paid off for him well historically, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I almost am about to flip and put Logano as my championship favorite, not Larson. Like borderline. I just worry that Larson is peaking right now, and then something is going to happen at Phoenix, and he's going to go out, and it's going to come down to Chase Elliott or Joey Logano.
I don't know if there's a situation of peaking too soon with that team, because every time we thought they've peaked, they've just found another gear somehow. But I understand why you would feel that way. It just feels like something's going to happen here. Like, there's no way he's going to be this good the whole way through. I still think Larson's going to win, but what I am really focused on is that run for the 4th spot. With Larson winning 2 races, the other 3 spots are still open. And I'm looking at Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott. Elliott still has to do a little bit of work to lock himself in. I don't think what happened at Bristol between Harvick and Elliott is over. No matter what phone call NASCAR made, we know drivers don't forget. If Chase Elliott is in a danger zone situation late in the day on Sunday, he has got to have a head on a swivel for that number 4. Because it doesn't take much to suddenly, get loose or have an issue with the wheel or a tire go down right next to the 9 car. And all of a sudden, we're going to the wall. Boom, I'm sorry, Chase. I didn't see you there. And Chase doesn't make the championship. And I know that was way over dramatized, but drivers know how to wreck people without wrecking people.
I think if that happens, I think you see Alan Gustafson put Harvick on the ground. If Chase doesn't, Alan will. Somebody will.
It's going to be a brawl, and I can't wait.
I mean, you might be looking at like a multiple team brawl.
Yes.
Because I can almost see like Bowman or Byron's teams up in there too. Like this is like full on organizational. If Harvick intentionally wrecks Chase and either 1 makes him lose a championship or 2 makes him, I think maybe Martinsville, it wouldn't be quite so bad, but if Chase is leading and Harvick wrecks him in Phoenix with, a handful to go, Harvick might be retiring medically.
I mean, if those 2 cars make contact on this Sunday or next Sunday, just bring the UFC ring out because it's going to be a fight.
And O'Donnell and Phelps might as well just be out there greeting, ready to go, and just take the mic like at the interviews, how they always play him over the loudspeaker, and just give it to O'Donnell or Phelps and let them do their talking.
Yeah. It's going to be insane. That's the thing I'm going to be watching. You really got to watch those cars 4th through 8th, really. Because remember, if somebody outside that top 8 wins, whoever's in 4th place, which currently occupied by Kyle Busch, he's done. And I know Chase Elliott is 34 points up. As we saw with Kevin Harvick last year, it doesn't take long for things to go wrong for you at Martinsville. And we don't have practice and qualifying this week. So if there's an issue with that Chase Elliott machine and he ends up a couple laps down, he goes from comfortably in to fighting for his life really quick at Martinsville.
Mm-hmm.
If you see that 9 car win at Martinsville, they better have cameras on to watch and make sure that when he does his interview, he takes that helmet off because it might be Larson in that car.
Then they do a car swap.
Wouldn't surprise. I would. I'd try it. If you ain't cheating, you ain't racing, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I mean, technically it wouldn't be cheating because I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how the rules go with. Well, I don't know. I'm not even going to get into that because technically they both started the race. So
if you ain't cheating, you ain't racing, and it's only cheating if you get caught. So
exactly. We still got a race to decide who's going to win this thing. So we're going to do nearest the win here really quick, and then some other stuff I want to talk about before we say goodbye. We've only got Martinsville this week. Chris, I believe you're going with Logano.
I did, yes. I went with Logano.
I'm going to go Hamlin. Michael, who do you have?
I guess Larson.
All right. So those are our picks. If you want to play nearest the win, hashtag nearest the win with who you think is going to win this week, I have got to pick up some wins because we are 14 points down and Chris is getting away from us here.
No, you're 12 points down.
Yeah.
And there's 14 points left this year.
Yeah, so I have to score this week, or championship may be going to Chris here. So this is danger zone for me.
So we've got 5 races left in the Formula One season, and I have 3 picks left for Verstappen. Yep. Because I went Lewis last week. Yep. So there's almost 3 guaranteed points. No, I'm kidding.
Well, if you win... The thing is, if there's 14 points left and you're up 12, if you score this weekend, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So you're going to be the biggest Logano fan this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, all I need to do is score twice by the end of the season.
Yep. Which
is probable. Not being full of myself, but 2 points in 14 is probable.
Well, before we get out of here, there was some more testing with the next-gen car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. took the car around Bowman Gray Stadium. Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart were also there. Jr. actually talked to the media and said the car basically does everything better, which there's a thing with that makes me excited, actually. A lot of other people... Social media is going to be social media on this car. That's basically where we're going to go with that. But if this car is better to drive, I'm not going to say easier to drive, I'm going to say better to drive, that means these guys are going to be a lot more aggressive with it, which means we're going to see the intensity of racing ratchet up a little bit. Because with these composite bodies, it shouldn't cut down tires as much. They're going to have more mechanical grip with the larger and wider tires, the better steering inputs, although there's a talk about it being numb. That might be a symptom of not being used to the independent rear suspension, because you can't really feel how the car runs because it's independent from the front end now. So there might be guys getting, having a little bit more mistakes. They are trying to also check something in the rack and pinion steering system under heavy loads as well, just to make sure. I know there were some complaints about that. They're trying to work out the steering kinks, which might take a little bit of time. But, guys, I'm really excited for next year and what this new car is going to do for NASCAR. I think it's up off the ground, so we're not going to have as many issues with the aerodynamics. They took away a lot of the side force, so I don't think we'll have the full throttle with the 550 at every track. I really think we're going to see some really good racing next year, and this car can be a really good catalyst for next season into the next truly into the next generation of the Cup Series.
Yeah, definitely. And if there's one thing that I could urge people to do, it is don't judge the next generation by the first 10 races. They need time. All of these cars, I think the first 4 races are already built. They are pre-built, and before the season they're already set up based on what they think, and there's not really a ton of adjusting to do. Give it to the summer or the fall before you really say this package sucks. I'm not, NASCAR's dead. It died with Dale.
Anyway, right?
Oh yeah, I know that if the clash is not great, then I won't even go on social media for a couple weeks.
I mean, I can't even don't even judge this car by the clash,
or the 500.
Definitely not the 500, and definitely not the clash. I mean, these 2 races are just so out there with what they mean for the rest of the season. It doesn't even matter. I mean, the Clash is being held in a football stadium, for God's sakes. And then the Daytona 500, everybody just goes in for the Daytona 500. We'll get to the regular season on week 2. Everybody's just throwing in to win that one race. So once we get to the second week, and even not even the second week, I don't even think the 22nd week, because there's going to be tweaks probably after the 2022 season. Give it to 2023. 2024, and then start judging it.
I'm curious to see how pit road looks. What do pit times look like after this? My guess is they're probably going to go down by maybe a second and a half, just because you don't have that lug. Unfortunately, you still have the time going around the car back around. But I bet you they've shaved off a second and a half easily off of those pit times.
Definitely. I could see that. What it's going to mean, though, is those crews are going to have their heads on a swivel because cars are going to be coming out of there a lot faster than in previous years. And the one thing that I'm not really concerned about is loose wheels, because you're going to know really fast whether or not you got that wheel tight.
You won't make it to the end of pit lane.
No, you're going to make it about 5 feet. That's it.
Once you turn that car to get out of your pit stall, you'll know.
Yep. So that is going to do it for this edition of the Extra Mile. You can catch me at DK Jr. 12. Michael's at Michael_Ward25. And, of course, Christopher Lehman is at Fiji Sims. And remember, check out iesportsradio.com. And, of course, our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, including the at Extra Mile IESR. I also do commentary for the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. We are back in action at the Miami Marine Stadium this Saturday at 8 p.m. Check us out on UHL Hydroplanes. Congratulations to Eddie Canfouche in the U1 Cheerios. He took the win in the Southern Cup last Saturday, or actually a couple Saturdays ago, to take home the first win of the 2021-2022 season. And we'll get started with round 2 for the Miami Marine Stadium with the Orange Cup this Saturday at 8 p.m. Well, for Christopher and Michael, I'm Daryl. This has been the Extra Mile, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.
Night.